Welcome to the Business Bada Revolution. I'm your host, Pat Honiotes. We're here to talk about doing business from the inside out because being an entrepreneur shouldn't suck. Remember, business badasses are made, not born. Welcome to the show. And welcome to another edition. I'm sounding important now, aren't I? To another edition of Business Bada Revolution. I've had some questions about that word revolutions. And here's the deal. It's about revolutionizing ourselves. We absolutely need traditional business coaches. We need the strategies. We need all the things that they can give us. And what we're doing is going inside and revolutionizing the way we think, going into our subconscious mind to see how that affects our business so that we can do what our strategy coaches are telling us to do. I have a very special lady with me this morning, Rachel Albertson. Thank you.
Good morning, Pat. Thanks for having me.
Oh, this is going to be fun.
Yes.
This is going to be fun.
Yes.
We're going to put a disclaimer out there before we get too far along here. Rachel is what she calls a serial entrepreneur.
Yes.
Which means this lady runs 5 businesses. Now, in order to run 5 businesses, you have to have a mindset and a pattern that is unbelievable. The whole idea here today is to expose you to the way you think, how you think about different things as an entrepreneur. I want to make it clear that just because you don't have 5 businesses doesn't mean you're a failure.
And I wouldn't recommend it for a lot of people.
I'm one of them. One keeps me busy. Thank you. So that's going to come up. And I wanted to make it clear from the beginning. We're not even advocating that, but it does speak to what you can do with the power of your mind.
Correct. Okay. And 4 of the 5 all are in the same realm. It's not like I have 5 separate divisions and they're all a different type of business. 4 of them all work together. And that makes it really easy.
Yeah, it makes it easier. Let's say easier.
Yeah. So by having partnerships in some of those,
yes.
Again, you can't do it by yourself. It leverages the power of more than just me.
Right. Because we're going to go in depth on that. We really are. But before we get there, I want you to tell me or tell us about how you think. I know that can be scary, but what we think really impacts our businesses. What we feel impacts our businesses. So with 5 of them, you must have some pretty consistent, healthy thoughts when you run into a brick wall, when something isn't going right. Will you just speak a bit on how you process, how you think about your businesses, especially in times of maybe some stress?
Well, there's always stress. You know, we live in a world where everything is right now so fast. There's always stress. There's always going to be your phone beeping if you have it by you. And I don't necessarily like the word compartmentalize, but that's kind of how it is. You know, when you're running more than one business or even your own business and you have your family and other distractions, you have to have time that you dedicate to that and only that. Turn off your phone, turn off your notifications. If you're on a call, your computer should not be going ding, 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 because you're not focused.
Right.
So in life in general, there are a lot of brick walls and stress that comes along. And I will say I had somebody that was significant in my life for a long time that believed in anything I did, always supported me, always showed up, and really encouraged me. So even though the person's not in my life anymore, sometimes when I'm at that wall, I'm like, what would they say? How would they lift me up?
There you go.
So it's remembering that, you know, I have value. I'm smart. I'm capable. I can do this. I just need to redirect. And sometimes focus is hard. So I use, I think it's called a Pomodoro. So it's 20 minutes, 25 minutes of solid working on one thing. And then you take a 5-minute break. Also helps me get my steps in. I'll be honest. So having a plan, having a schedule, being able to be flexible if something comes up, but redirecting back to your plan.
Okay, that's all great. And I totally agree with you. Now I want you to go, I want to know what's going on in here and in here.
Okay. It can be a lot. And there's things that pop up, the self-doubt, which makes me recircle to the people that are in my sphere. We can't do this alone. We need people, whether it's a therapist, a mentor, a coach, good solid friends, other business associates. You need to have a circle that you can dip from. So
Okay, I'm going to interrupt you again.
well, I'm getting there. So
No.
when I'm having one of those moments and I'm in my head, I reach out to the people that are in my circle and say, "Hey, I'm having a tough time."
But what are you thinking? Inside of you, what are you thinking?
You know, there's always self-doubt and
What thought takes you out of that? I know you're going to bring your peeps in, but what are the phrases or what are the thoughts that you have to help bring yourself out of that?
I'm enough. I mean, I know that sounds cheesy,
No, it doesn't sound
but I
cheesy to me.
am. I am enough. And sometimes in that moment, enough could be 10% of my full capacity. It depends. And I also think in the back of my mind that my dog needs bougie kibble, so I need to go make some money.
Okay.
I like having someone that relies on me. It brings me back around. I'm not just doing it for myself.
When you're thinking at 2 a.m., do you ever think at 2 a.m.?
I do. That's my normal wake up.
Yeah, me too, darn it. What are the thoughts? When you go to business, what are the thoughts? What are the patterns that you tie into at that time?
I get some of my best ideas at 2 o'clock. I really do. I recommend having a notepad or something you can write on.
But what are your thoughts?
What are my thoughts? Gosh, you want to be brutally honest. You know, I mean,
Yeah, I
again, there's
kinda-
doubt, there's fear. Can I do this by myself? Am I overcommitted?
So how do you turn that around? Because I've seen you turn stuff around. How do you turn that around? I know people. I know we need people. But within yourself, what turns you around? What thought about yourself or your business or a situation as you go, oh, okay, right there it is.
You know, my business is to help people.
Okay.
So it makes me feel good when I'm able to solve
Okay.
somebody else's problem. So sometimes the answers come when I'm taking a shower. I know that sounds silly. Or
Sounds
2
silly to me.
a.m. You know, I woke up, I'm doing a presentation next month, and I woke up at 2 a.m. the night before last, and I had the outline. So I wrote it down real quick so I wouldn't forget. And then I checked it the next day, and I'm like, that's right on. So,
I love the 2 a.m. I do that
yeah,
too.
I think it's women of a certain age, 2 a.m. is like our alarm clock.
Well, I said to my coach, I said, why can't dude give me ideas at 8 or 9? And he said, because people get so busy from 7 o'clock on that you don't pay attention. You don't have that open space. So 2 a.m. it is.
That's when it's clear. You
Yep.
got nothing else
Yeah.
fuddling your mind.
Okay.
Did I answer the question?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
good.
You know me. I keep pushing till I
Yeah,
get there.
yeah.
Only because you have a lot to share. I don't want you to keep going away from that because I know you have to have, because of where you are and what you're doing, you have to have some of those thoughts. Maybe you're not even aware of how powerful they are that circle you back.
With the help of, you know, mentors, therapists, groups, all the people that are part of your circle, you know, sometimes it's their words that ring in your mind
Yes.
in the middle of the
Yes.
night. You're doubting yourself, but then you remember, hey, this customer was really grateful. Or I remember my mentor said, you're the CEO of your life. If it's not going how you want, it's your responsibility. If you're on the day of your death and your life was not what you expected it to be, you're the CEO. It's your fault. Make those changes. And so I kind of, you know, tough love myself a little bit.
Okay.
Is
Do you
this what you want?
celebrate?
I do celebrate.
What's your celebration?
It depends. So I know that's okay. So I have a cookie jar in my kitchen, and it says Nana on it because I'm a Nana. And I put little pieces of paper of things in there. And when I celebrate a win, I draw something out. So it could be a massage.
All right.
It could be 10 minutes of complete silence. It could be going for an extra walk. I put different kinds of things that refill my tank in there.
All right, say that again and listen carefully, folks. Say that again, please.
I put
I refill my tank is what I'm interested
yeah,
in.
I celebrate, and the way I do that is finding the things that fill my tank. And they don't have to be expensive, and they don't have to be a weekend away at the beach, although that's nice. That could be a goal, but those little things that just refill your tank.
Okay. Anything else about that?
What do you mean?
I just wondered if you had anything else to add that because I'm about to add to that because I'm about to switch gears.
I know you're about to switch gears. I just think that it's normal to doubt yourself. It's normal to have fear. But if you have backup things set in place, it makes it a lot smoother of a transition. When you're happy and you're doing the things you love, that's the time to write them down and put them in that jar.
Oh, absolutely.
Not when you're already in a bad place.
Yeah. Yeah. So you told me a story about sitting at a stoplight.
I did.
Would you share that story?
Yes, I will. And it's being very vulnerable, and I'm okay with that. Like I'm an open book.
Thank you.
But it was a couple of weeks ago. I was feeling overwhelmed. So like I said, 4 of my businesses all work together, and then I have one that kind of floats over here on the side, and it needed attention, and it needed inventory done, and it needed, a bunch of my time that at that point I didn't have, but it was important in order for that business to keep going. And I was sitting at a stoplight, and I started to cry, and I was so overwhelmed, and I felt, how am I going to do this? I'm at my limit. Like, I cannot do one more thing.
Thank you. Those are the things I wanted you to bring out because that's what go through all our minds. Thank you. Keep going.
I could not even have another thought in my brain about it. And I remembered that there was somebody from my networking group that worked in that field. So I pulled over and I texted her, hey, do you have a minute to talk to me about my business? And she said, absolutely. So then we chatted, and she's like, do you want me to come over now? So it's, again, those people on your team, sometimes they're there, sometimes you don't. So I was able to offload, so to speak, some work to someone, which blessed them by them being able to get that revenue, and blessed me by freeing up that time that I really didn't have anyway.
So that brings up the topic of delegating. I know you refer to me even to a different business, but that's one of the things I find my people run into. They want to delegate, but they don't delegate.
You can't do everything yourself. You don't know what you don't know. When you're starting a business, maybe you're on a shoestring budget and you think, I'm going to do this myself. I'm going to do this myself. But you run out of time and your skill set may not be there at all. It's important to know when you don't know and get help. Again, sometimes people have small budgets. I work with a lot of local small businesses. They don't always have the money to hire me to do their marketing. So we sit down and we have a strategy. Okay, well, if you do X, Y, and Z in 90 days, then you should be able to hire me because you're working to increase your revenue. So knowing that there are multiple ways to get to the finish line is important, and finding those people that connect and have the same mindset.
And one of the things I found is people a lot of times don't know the resources they have in their own home.
Right.
Okay, I've got a teenage granddaughter that if I could tie her down long enough, I'd love to give her some computer work to do. I know when I was first starting my business, my daughter was a teenager, and I turned a lot of the household stuff over to her for an allowance.
Right.
Because then that gave me time to work on the business. And that's things that we don't think about. Okay, is right around. See, what do you have around you, or who do you have around you that can? And it doesn't have to be business work. She wasn't keeping books. She wasn't seeing clients, but it gave me the time to do that. Here's the other thing that I run into is that, and I don't know about you, see if this resonates at all with your people, is they have a past that tells them they can't.
Right.
Okay. I know mine was I'm stupid. All right. And so there was no way on God's green earth I was going to hire people and let them see me be stupid. But that's just one thing. Have you seen anything like that where people have a belief about themselves that keeps them from doing what you tell them to do?
Absolutely. As soon as we're born, we have people telling us what to do, how to look, what to say, how to do this, how to do that. And it takes away who you are at your core.
Yes.
And it's important to recognize the gifts of other people. I totally lost my train of thought on what the question was.
That's okay because I was backtracking and going to what thoughts, and you may not deal in this area at all, but what thoughts or what patterns do you see in people that don't do what you tell them to do?
It goes back to their core beliefs of themselves.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. What you believe about yourself is true. Whether you're right, whether you think you're right or you think you're wrong,
You're right.
you're right. So sometimes you have to have hard conversations and say, you're your own problem. This is what I see. I'm coming to you with love and appreciation of who you are, but how can we find things to get you past that?
And sometimes people, all the time, people have beliefs that they don't even know they have.
Yes.
And that's where business from the inside out comes in. Is if you've got a subconscious belief about yourself, it impacts your business, guaranteed. But you can't do anything about it if you don't know what the belief is.
I agree. And people don't believe it, but I am pretty introverted. And so I get up and speak in front of groups. I run networking groups. I'm out there, but there are things that I do ahead of, during, and after.
Tell us about that. When we were visiting before we started recording, you were talking about how when you come to something like this to be interviewed, or maybe before walking into a meeting, that you have a process you go through to get yourself ready.
Yes.
Would you share that?
Absolutely. So I have a morning show, Good Morning Murfreesboro, that we do once a week. And I need to have time in the morning. I need to, get myself where I pick out my stuff I'm going to wear ahead of time. So there's no morning like, what am I going to wear? That's really important. And then I make sure that I have about 5 minutes in my car where I can let all the negativity go and then go in with the right attitude. My job for that 2 hours is to talk about what makes Murfreesboro shine.
Yeah.
And I can't be positive and talk about the great things if I'm in a negative mindset. So I make sure I'm fully caffeinated. And then I take 5 minutes. And, it was a couple months ago, I was sitting in my car and our producer texted me, "Hey, Rachel, are you okay?" I said, "I just need 5 more minutes." And they know, like, if I can get rid of all of the negativity, then we usually have no edits. So finding the thing that works for you. It could be, on a Post-it note in your car, you have 5 things that you're going to say to yourself.
Yes.
Everybody has a different thing, but find it. Ask people what they do and see if that works for you. Keep trying till you find what works for you.
I like the idea of preparing.
Yeah.
And I think we don't even think about that. We just go do it. And
Right.
that can get us in a heap of trouble. So, how do I want to say this? I don't want you to use names. Who do you surround yourself with? And I don't mean, Pat and Casey and Trent and Margaret and all those people. I mean, who are they? Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay.
It does. And I've been doing a lot of personal work lately, and it's become more apparent and obvious to me the people that need to come and people that need to go.
Good.
So
Say that again, please. Listen carefully. People that what?
need to stay and people that need to go.
Yes.
It takes one negative person in the bunch to bring you down. So there are different people that fill different roles in my life, and I want to make sure that the people that I have are ones that believe in me, believe in my skills, they trust me. I'm a good friend to them as they are to me. And you can have friends in business, you can have mentors. There are a lot of different people in your group. So I surround myself with other business owners, business coaches, a mentor. I do have some people that are up and coming. They're not negative. They're just in the process.
Who are these people in here? Who are they in their heart?
They're like-minded. They that's a hard thing, in their heart. Like, I would like to say, I want to see people do better and be better. It doesn't mean that I know the answer. It doesn't mean that I'm there to lecture them and say, you need to do this. It's let's talk about this.
There you go.
What can we do? Asking the questions, not how are you, but what's a project you're working on that you're passionate about? Making it come from a different thing than what everybody else does.
Yeah, and that how are you question I hate. Because you know what most people say? I'm fine.
Right.
Good.
In America, we say that as just it's like, hello. We don't really care what somebody's going through. We don't want to hear them say anything bad.
I was going to say, you don't want me to tell you how I am.
Right?
Because I might.
Right. And there's
sometimes
times you're falling apart on the inside, but you're put together on the outside. And if you say, I'm not okay, then you fall apart.
Yes. Here's the thing about that, though, is yes, keep it inside. When the recording is off, then you go punch a bag or you go talk to someone or you go do whatever but make sure you get that stuff out.
Right.
Because if you don't, it's gonna come out one way or the other.
Yeah. Another mentor that I was listening to said, in relationships, whether business or personal, if you have that unresolved problem, it's a brick. And then you have another unresolved problem and it's another brick. And pretty soon you have a wall.
Yeah.
And it's not good for anybody.
And see, the problem is what I run into is we're taught not to share our feelings, not to tell people how we feel, not to be confrontive. I say you can have a conversation and disagree without being confrontive.
Agreed.
But that's not, but we're taught that from the time you stuff it. You stuff it, and that's what builds up and blocks you when you want to do things that you're running into.
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree.
So it's, and we're even taught not to feel. You don't really hate your little brother. Yes, right now I do.
I think my generation, the Gen X, we were, there's a lot of latchkey kids, and at 8 years old, you're babysitting. At 5, you're cooking. We were taught to take care of ourselves. And
To
that
survive,
puts us at a,
yes.
right, puts us at a little bit of a disadvantage in one way, that we stuff our feelings. But on the flip side of that, we're like all little MacGyvers. We can do it.
There's that. Yes, there's that. Now, I'm a boomer. Okay? And you were tough. You don't let them see you cry. You don't ever show a weakness. That brings up a thing that we talked about earlier is asking for help makes you weak.
I think it makes you stronger.
I agree. Now, tell me what goes through your head. Does that ever affect you? Like, oh, they're going to think I'm this or that. Or are you just so automatically there that you're good?
No. I don't know if anyone's ever automatically there if they're being true to their authentic self.
Yes.
There are times that I feel doubt and a little shame that I can't do something, especially like if it's a deadline. Sometimes we get overextended or something happens over here. There's a fire you have to put out. Going to someone and asking for help can feel shameful, but it really isn't. So when I feel that way, I have my things set up in advance. Like, why are you feeling bad about this? What could you do different next time? And I try to learn. And sometimes I feel like I'm hitting myself in the head with an iron mallet because I'm not learning and I keep repeating it. But I feel eventually it's going to get in there and I'm going to go, oh, yeah, if I set this up different, I won't have that problem.
I ran into that yesterday. One of the things I hate is when I have to cancel something at kind of the last minute. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, Pat, you know better. Let's get, but yelling at myself isn't going to do any good. It's like, okay, honey, next time you're going to set it up this way. But normally what do we do? Or what do many people do? We chastise ourselves. We yell at ourselves. Not going to work. It's just going to make us feel more shame and more guilt.
And sometimes when you're late for an appointment, instead of saying, I'm sorry, which is like, how are you? You can say, I appreciate you waiting for me. And then you can say you're sorry.
I am writing a whole article, and I'll share it with you when it's done on I'm
Please do.
sorry.
Yeah.
I do it kiddingly, but I actually carpeted my bedroom one time with a person that said I'm sorry, and she paid me $5 a time. Now I would never do that again. Maybe I need new, but no, I actually carpeted my bedroom, and I was saving it to give back to her. She wouldn't take it. She said no. I learned,
Wow.
but that's a good exercise, by the way, folks. Is during the day, just make a check mark every time you say I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
You will be surprised and amazed at how much that happens.
And then put a star by it if you truly mean it.
Well, and maybe if there's a need to be sorry,
Sometimes people just apologize.
yeah, yeah, but for no reason, it's like you're apologizing for being yourself.
Right.
You know, oh, my hair's a mess today, but I just got it in what? You know,
Sometimes when people apologize for the way they look, most people don't even notice. And they don't notice till you tell them.
Yep.
If I was missing a button, I'd be like, oh, I'm missing a button. Well, you probably wouldn't even have noticed that I was missing a button.
Well, plus I don't care if you're missing a button.
Right, right.
But that's not everybody. That's not everybody. Okay, so in times of decision making, you've got maybe another opportunity or you've got a bigger client coming on board. What's your process when you're going to make a major decision? What goes through here? What are the steps that you go through?
It's important not to overthink, which is a problem I've had. And so when there is a big opportunity in front of me, the first thing I need to evaluate and be realistic with myself is, can I do this? Do I need to hire somebody? How is this going to get done in the way that I want it to? So I kind of, do the mental math, so to speak. But it's important to make a decision quickly, because if you lollygag, you're just
God,
doing
I haven't
yourself
heard that word in years. All right.
lollygag. You're just doing
Lollygag.
yourself a disservice, because then you're setting your mind up for failure. If you say, okay, I can do this, but let me figure out how, is very different from, I don't know if I can do this. So I have taken the stance now of, I can do it. If I really know I can, I take a minute, like, can I really do this?
Well, part of it is wanting to.
Right.
I think we forget that.
And-
It's like I should, or
Yeah.
and then we get caught up in that. We don't really want to. I'm
You
sorry
don't have
for
to say,
interrupting
no,
you, but
you
go
don't
ahead.
have to say yes. It's okay to say no. In small business, sometimes you're so worried about getting that revenue in that you don't have the confidence to say no. There could be, you could be standing at a door that's closed and there's 3 more that are open, and you're just sitting there knocking, and you're not seeing those other 3 doors that are open. It's the same thing with your clients. If it's not a good fit, say no and go to the next door.
And if you make a mistake and take on a client that isn't yours to take, it's okay to talk with that client and say, hey, this really isn't working.
Right.
Okay, I know that's really hard for some people to do.
It is.
But it's an injustice to you, but it's also an injustice to your client if you don't say that.
Right. And your reputation.
Yeah, you got that, because you're not going to help them anyway.
Right.
You're not going to help them anyway. Okay, Rachel,
Pat.
what are we're going to start slowing it down
Okay.
here. What are the 2 main concepts that you want our listeners to get from you today? The 2 main ideas that you think are really important.
First and foremost, you can't do it by yourself. You need a team, period. And sometimes a team is just one other person or your dog. It doesn't matter, but you need a team. Really quick. I used to have a dog named Maddie, and she's on my website as my chief marketing officer. So it's okay if it's your dog. Number 1, you can't do it by yourself. And number 2, what you believe is true. Mm-hmm. You have to get yourself to where you believe in you. And,
Yeah.
Believe
got
it.
You got it. Where can we get a hold of you if we want to work with you or talk to you further? How do people reach out to you?
You can Google me, Rachel Albertson, Murfreesboro. I come up.
Okay.
Any number of the things that I do, my networking group, if you Google networking for awesome people, but, Rachel at InfoRule, S like Sam, M like Mary, or like socialmedia.com. That's my email. Okay. I love to connect. As funny as it is, I'm not as necessarily active on like LinkedIn because most of my business is referral based. But anyway, if you Google me, I'm there.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. I really appreciate this opportunity.
Well, this was great. This was fun, and thank you for sharing all your little tidbits. Even though we had to keep asking that question about in here, right?
Right.
I love that because what you did was you responded. A lot of people will shut down when they get pushed a little bit like that. So that's part of the definition of being a business badass. And are you proud of me? I've only used it twice today.
Okay, I'm proud of you. But at networking, we count, and your record is 7 in a minute.
Yeah, I only did 2 last time.
I know.
Yeah, this networking group, they think it's funny, and I'll see people in the audience going like this when I'm talking, and talk about a distraction, right? But it's fun. It's fun. So, thanks again, Rachel.
Thanks,
I appreciate you so much, and thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Remember to send in those questions because we're going to be doing another mailbag soon. So if you have questions about business from the inside out, or you have a question for any one of our guests, we will make sure that they answer it for you. In the meantime, relax, find some help, treat yourself, and we'll see you next week on the Business Badass Revolution. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to another episode of Business Badass Revolution. Remember, as you're walking through your work week, being an entrepreneur shouldn't suck. Remember to like, share, follow, and subscribe. And oh, by the way, leave us a 5-star review. See you next time.